Have you ever paused to consider the colossal implications of what we've been told about humanity's greatest achievement? For decades, we've accepted a narrative spoon-fed to us, a story of giant leaps and lunar footprints. But what if that story, that celebrated chapter in our history, is nothing more than a carefully constructed facade? What if the truth is far more unsettling than anyone dares to imagine, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for those with eyes to see it? This isn't just about questioning. It's about seeing the threads unravel. They tell us about Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong's famous stride, and a flag planted firmly on a desolate lunar surface. It's presented as an unquestionable triumph of human ingenuity and American might. School textbooks, documentaries, and even holiday specials reinforce this version of events, etching it into our collective consciousness as gospel truth. But as we dig deeper, as we examine the evidence with a critical eye, cracks begin to appear in this perfectly polished narrative. You start to see how neatly everything fits, perhaps too neatly. Consider the subtle anomalies, the almost imperceptible inconsistencies that haunt the official mission footage. Why does the flag appear to wave in the vacuum of space? And where are the myriad of stars that should dominate the lunar sky? These aren't minor glitches. They are fundamental questions that challenge the very fabric of the story we've been told. They are whispers of doubt that grow louder with every closer look, refusing to be silenced by convenient explanations. The truth, like a persistent echo, keeps returning. It's almost as if a hidden hand, an orchestrating force, carefully staged this entire spectacle. Think about the sheer logistical challenge of faking such an event on a global scale. It would require immense resources, incredible coordination, and absolute secrecy. Who could possibly wield such power? We're not talking about a simple cover-up here. We're talking about a monumental deception, one that reshaped history and continues to echo through our present. It points to a singular, powerful entity. For too long, the few brave souls who dared to question this narrative have been dismissed, ridiculed, and silenced. But the truth has a way of persisting, like a stubborn weed through concrete. It needs a voice, a champion to bring it into the light, someone willing to cut through the propaganda and reveal the layers of deceit. We need to follow the thread, no matter how unsettling the revelations become. It's time for a new perspective, a fresh look at undeniable facts that have been ignored. Let's revisit that infamous waving flag. They claim it had a telescoping pole to make it stand proud, but look closely. The fabric isn't merely held out, it's rippling in an impossible breeze that simply cannot exist in the vacuum of space. It's a telltale sign, a production blunder that exposes the entire charade for what it truly is, a soundstage spectacle. This isn't rocket science, folks, it's basic physics, distorted for public consumption. The illusion is already starting to crumble. Then there are the stars, or rather, the conspicuous lack thereof. Every photograph, every piece of footage from the lunar surface shows a black, barren sky. Yet, if we were truly on the moon, bathed in unfiltered starlight, the heavens should be ablaze with countless celestial bodies. This isn't just an oversight, it's an intentional omission, designed to simplify the visual effects and avoid revealing the terrestrial nature of their set. They couldn't fake billions of tiny lights, so they simply removed them. It's a classic trick. The only logical conclusion is that the entire thing was filmed in a colossal soundstage. Imagine the scale of it, a massive hangar, meticulously dressed to resemble the lunar surface, complete with artificial lighting and cleverly designed backdrops. It explains the inconsistent shadows, the wind in the flag, and the conveniently dark sky. They weren't battling the harsh realities of space, they were battling continuity errors and union breaks. The biggest blockbusters of our time can't replicate such realism, yet they claim to have done it 5 decades ago. Think about that. And what about the props? The moon buggy, the spacesuits, the scientific equipment? Do you honestly believe those were built for actual space travel? I contend they were crafted by a highly skilled, yet overworked, team in a secret prop department, likely under the Nevada desert. Imagine the meticulous detail, crafting moon rocks from styrofoam, fabricating space helmets from old fish bowls, and designing a lunar module that looked convincing enough for one take. It's a masterclass in theatrical misdirection, not engineering prowess. Every detail was planned. Now, let's tackle the most glaring lie, the illusion of reduced gravity. They show astronauts bouncing around, supposedly in 1/6 Earth's gravity. But observe their movements closely. It's not consistent. Sometimes they float, sometimes they just stumble. This wasn't achieved through some sophisticated zero-G chamber. It was wires, pulleys, and actors struggling to maintain an awkward ballet. They tried to simulate something beyond their technical capabilities, and the result is a clumsy, unconvincing dance. It's a literal suspension of disbelief, aided by crude effects. The truth is quite evident. Another monumental red flag is the lunar dust. Scientists claim the moon is covered in a fine, abrasive regolith. Yet in all the footage, we see perfectly pristine boots, unmarred equipment, and vehicles that kick up dust clouds that settle far too quickly. Where is the pervasive, clinging lunar dust that should be covering everything? This isn't just about cleanup, it's about the very composition of the ground they were walking on. It's almost as if the moon dust was just, well, plain old dirt, the kind you'd find anywhere. And what about the shadows? If the sun is the only light source on the moon, shouldn't all shadows be parallel? Yet, in numerous photographs, we see shadows diverging, stretching in different directions, indicating multiple light sources. This is a telltale sign of studio lighting, a giveaway that they were using spotlights and reflectors to simulate a lunar environment. It's a glaring inconsistency, a subtle yet powerful indictment of the entire staged production. They tried to be too clever, and they gave themselves away. The physics simply doesn't add up. But the deepest secret, the true missing link, lies not in what we see, but in what has been erased. There are rumors of classified documents, discarded footage, and suppressed testimonies that would blow this whole thing wide open. These aren't just whispers. They are echoes from those who were there, those who saw too much. The powers that be have gone to extraordinary lengths to bury this evidence, but truth, like water, always finds a way to surface. It flows through the cracks, revealing what was hidden. It's time to dig deeper. And here's where it gets truly mind-bending. Have you ever noticed the peculiar pattern of condensation on a cold beverage, especially after a particularly stressful day? Sometimes, if you look closely enough, those random droplets form an uncanny resemblance to the craters of the moon. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a subliminal message, a hidden clue left by the architects of the hoax. They're mocking us, hiding the truth in plain sight, disguised as everyday ephemera. The universe, in its own way, is trying to communicate. We just need to listen. And finally, the moon rocks themselves. They claim these are extraterrestrial samples, but have you ever considered their uncanny resemblance to, well, garden pebbles? They're smooth, perfectly round, and utterly devoid of any unique characteristics. I posit these lunar samples were simply collected from a very particular quarry, possibly one owned by a secretive, highly influential family. The craters? Fabricated with industrial-grade lunar lawnmowers designed to create the illusion of impact. It's a rock-solid deception, pun intended. This whole thing is just a big cover-up for a peculiar landscaping project. So, who were the true architects behind this elaborate planetary puppet show? Not governments, not even shadowy organizations. It was a secret society of highly skilled, yet perpetually bored, avant-garde theater enthusiasts. They saw the moon landing as the ultimate stage, a chance to perform the greatest immersive art piece humanity had ever witnessed. Their motive? Pure, unadulterated artistic expression and a profound desire to test the limits of global credulity. It was their magnum opus, their final curtain call. We were merely their audience. And where did they train their astronauts, these unwitting performers? Not in simulators, but in an abandoned retro arcade, honing their zero-G's movements by playing pinball machines set to defy gravity. Their spacesuits were fashioned from old vinyl records and discarded Christmas decorations, giving them that distinct, shiny, yet somewhat flammable aesthetic. The training was less about scientific rigor and more about performance art, perfecting the dramatic pause and the bewildered stumble. It was a rigorous curriculum in comedic timing. The ultimate piece of evidence, the final nail in the coffin of their deception, is truly astonishing. It's a single, perfectly preserved, petrified Pickle, found in a forgotten storage unit dating back to 1969. This pickle, my friends, bears an unmistakable indentation, a miniature footprint from a moon boot. They left a cosmic cucumber, a pickled paradox, as their final, audacious signature. This isn't just a snack, it's a timestamp, a tangible link to the greatest theatrical production ever staged. The pickle knows the truth. So there you have it, the undeniable, overwhelming truth. The moon landing was not a journey into space, but a journey into the human imagination, orchestrated by a cabal of eccentric dramatists. Every fact you knew, every iconic image was meticulously crafted for public consumption. They spun a tale of ambition and conquest, when in reality it was a tale of props, pulleys, and a very large studio. The real space race was merely a distraction from the ultimate performance art piece. Now you see it, don't you? Now that you've seen the evidence, the layers of deceit stripped away, what will you do? Will you continue to blindly accept the official narrative, or will you join the ranks of those who seek the actual truth? Share this video. Open the eyes of your friends, your family, your pet goldfish. The biggest hoax in human history has been exposed, and it's up to us to ensure it's never forgotten. The universe is watching, and it's time to choose. The choice is yours, and the clock is ticking. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe for more. Ring the bell and comment below. And remember, the truth is really, really out there.